This is Ron Artest, and my man has been through some. This man appreciates the hustle because he was an NBA player, and in his rookie year, he worked at Circuit City.
If I can work at Circuit City, I get this discount.
This man served the longest non-drug related suspension in NBA history. He was able to turn his life around. So I read his book No Malice to really dig deep on where he came from. This man was born and raised in Queensbridge, New York. The specific place he was raised in was the Queensbridge Housing Project. This project was the site of the most murders than any other New York City project. It was also where Mobb Deep and Nas were raised. What's worse was that the city was under a crack epidemic. As a child, Ron Artest was raised with 10 other children in that house. So he had to go outside to escape the crowd, but it was incredibly dangerous outside. He even says, "I was living in survival mode." His friends sold drugs, carried weapons, and were sent to jail. As a teenager, he witnessed one of his teammates being killed off. Fortunately, he was able to find safety and an outlet for his anger in basketball. But what happens when the outlet becomes the problem? On November 19th, 2004, it finally happened. This was the infamous Malice in the Palace in Detroit.
I want the story out there. Go frame by frame.
If you actually knew what happened, you wouldn't even be asking questions.
See, things were already emotionally charged before the game even started.
It ignited everything.
They were facing the team that eliminated them last year in the playoffs. And that team went off to win the championship, which meant that if they could have beaten this team, they would have probably won the championship. And Ron was Defensive Player of the Year and an All-Star. So that meant he had a lot riding on this. But he was already emotionally struggling. See, a month before this game, his grandmother passed away, and he asked for some time off. But instead of giving him time off to kind of get his mindset straight, they benched him for 2 games. So you could say things were emotionally charged. So when Ben Wallace from the opposing team started approaching him, things got heated.
Wallace is fouled, and Wallace did. Oh, Wallace right at our chest. This has potential to be serious if they don't get between. Wallace upset. Players trying to hold each other off.
Ron went to go lay down at the scorer's table when a drink came flying down and hit him.
I see it coming.
Charged up. Now Wallace was ejected, I'm not sure.
In his book, he admitted he didn't remember the next few seconds, but he admitted it was the moment that changed his life. His anger was so overwhelming that he blacked out. He reached the rage stage of anger. In this stage, logic can't control your rage. And as a result, he ran into the stands, choked out a fan, and punched another one. His actions resulted in the longest non-drug related NBA suspension in history. It costed him $5 million in salary. They cut off all his endorsements. They stopped playing every commercial with him on it. It even went to court where he pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor assault. The league even changed a lot of their rules. He calls them the Ron Artest rules. What they changed was that if a bench player gets within 2 feet of the court, they get suspended. Because of this event, the NBA changed their rules, and the effects of some of those still ripple to this day. Fans now have to walk through metal detectors. They even limit the amount and the number of alcoholic beverages you can purchase. It wouldn't be the last time a team suspended him either. See, on March 5th, 2007, he got in an altercation with his wife. He was arrested in front of his kids as well, and because of that, the King suspended him indefinitely. He even asked himself, do I stay this angry person, or do I try to improve? One of the biggest impacts to his career was that he couldn't compete in the Olympics. He wasn't even able to try out for the Olympic team because of his status. So not only did he let his team down, he costed them a championship. He lost his all-star status. He lost his Defensive Player of the Year opportunities. He lost his high salary, his endorsements, and his marriage. He lost the opportunity to compete in the Olympics. It wasn't until he was able to break that cycle of anger that things started changing. He sought therapy, and then he went to the Lakers and became a champion. Now he's an advocate for mental health services. He developed scholarship for urban mental health causes. He donated his entire salary of that championship season to mental health causes, auctioned off his championship ring, and gave those proceeds to mental health causes.
You do a lot of great things for charity. In fact, you auctioned off your ring, your NBA championship ring, and gave it to charity. How much did you raise with that
We
auction?
raised $700,000 for mental health awareness.
That's fantastic.
For a time, he even changed his name to Meta World Peace. And he says, if I can ask for help, you can. If a guy like Ron Artest, full of rage and violence, raised in such a dangerous background, can turn his life around to mental health causes, and now be such a happy, forgiving, and caring person, you can too. Don't let your anger control you and the actions that you take. Don't let your anger make you take actions that you can regret. You have the ability to take control. I'm Dr. Tank. Never give up on yourself.